This Star Trek main character looks way less likely to become a Starfleet captain now. For decades, Star Trek has built a legacy around its captains. From the legendary James T. Kirk to the diplomatic Jean-Luc Picard, and the trailblazing Catherine Janeway to the defiant Benjamin Sisko, becoming a captain in Star Trek isn't just a rank, it's a narrative achievement. It symbolizes growth, leadership, and moral fortitude. But not every character who walks onto the bridge is destined to command one. In Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, the character of Lon Noonien Singh, the ship's chief of security, initially seemed like a prime candidate for future captaincy. She's smart, composed under pressure, tactically brilliant, and has demonstrated loyalty to Starfleet's ideals time and again. But as the series progresses into its third season, Lon's storyline is beginning to take a direction that suggests she may not be on the traditional command track after all. Here's why Lon Noonien Singh looks far less likely to become a Starfleet captain now, and what it tells us about Strange New Worlds and the evolution of Star Trek's character arcs. 1. Her personal trauma still defines her arc. From her first appearance in Strange New Worlds, Lon was painted as a deeply scarred figure. A survivor of a Gorn attack that killed her family, she arrived aboard the USS Enterprise with visible emotional walls and a steely demeanor. Over time, we've seen glimpses of vulnerability, her bond with Number One, her mentorship of cadets, and her slowly developing friendships with the crew. However, the scars remain fresh. In fact, much of her screen time continues to explore her inability to move past her trauma. While Star Trek has never shied away from showing its captain's struggles, Sisko's grief, Picard's assimilation, Janeway's isolation, those narratives were balanced with professional competence and emotional evolution. Lon's arc seems increasingly internal and static, more about her healing journey than a climb up the ranks. Starfleet captains aren't expected to be flawless, but they are expected to lead with clarity and confidence. Lon, despite her combat expertise, often retreats into emotional isolation. In many ways, she's still at war with herself, and Starfleet isn't known for promoting officers who remain at emotional ground zero. 2. She's tied too deeply to her legacy. Lon's last name carries weight in Star Trek canon. As a descendant of Khan Noonien Singh, the infamous genetically engineered tyrant, Lon represents a living link to one of the Federation's darkest historical fears. Early episodes lean heavily into this, showing how she resented the burden of her bloodline. Even as she's proven herself separate from Khan's legacy, her genetic heritage remains a defining feature. It's a political and symbolic liability in universe. Even in the Utopian Federation, perception matters. It's hard to imagine Starfleet Command ever willingly elevating a Noonien Singh to the highest rank, especially when the eugenics wars still cast a shadow. By contrast, other Star Trek leaders like Spock or Worf carried their outsider status while gradually overcoming the stigma. Lon seems to be stuck in that tension. She's neither fully embraced her name nor entirely moved beyond it, making her feel like a perpetual question mark in Starfleet's political landscape. 3. Command is going elsewhere. Another major reason Lon seems increasingly unlikely to be captain? The spotlight in Strange New Worlds is subtly shifting. Characters like LT Erica Ortegas and LT Spock are seeing more nuanced leadership-focused arcs. Even Uhura, the communications officer, is receiving a slow-burn development path that emphasizes her growing decision-making role on the bridge. Most notably, Number One Una Chin Riley has returned to the first officer role with renewed command potential. If anyone besides Pike were to take over the Enterprise or another ship, Una is the most narratively equipped. She's already served in command roles and has the professional polish, personal integrity, and earned trust of Starfleet. Lon, meanwhile, remains rooted in the security role. She shines in moments of crisis, but isn't seen as a big-picture thinker or diplomatic negotiator, two traits that define Star Trek captains. She's a battlefield leader, not a political one. If anyone is inheriting the narrative seeds of leadership, it's not her anymore. 4. Her love story derailed the command arc. In Season 2's time travel episode Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, Lon was given one of her most emotional and character-defining stories. Transported to an alternate timeline, she met and fell for a younger version of James T. Kirk. It was romantic, tragic, and deeply human. But the fallout of that episode left Lon emotionally stranded. Her return to the present, bearing a secret she couldn't share, introduced a whole new layer of isolation. Instead of deepening her professional development, the storyline reset her character emotionally. She regressed, emotionally withdrawn once again, uncertain of her path and carrying fresh grief. This kind of emotionally heavy subplot can enrich a character, but in Lon's case, it stalled her progress. She seemed primed for a pivot into command-level responsibility in Season 1, but Season 2 locked her into internal turmoil again. A Starfleet captain can be haunted by loss, but they can't be emotionally paralyzed by it. 5. Security officers rarely become captains. If we look across Star Trek canon, one trend becomes immediately clear. Security chiefs rarely ascend to command. Worf, Tuvok, Yar, Odo, none ever made captain, even when their tenure in service should have qualified them. The showrunners have traditionally treated security officers as either tragic, stoic, or ultra-loyal side characters, not aspirational leaders. While this is slowly changing in the modern Trek era with more ensemble casts and cross-functional character development, the archetype persists. Security chiefs are the bruised hearts of the ship, not the heads. Lon fits this archetype perfectly. She's noble and driven, but not politically savvy. She solves problems with phasers and determination, not with Federation diplomacy or moral calculus. This institutional storytelling bias means Lon would have to overcome far more narrative inertia than characters in command track positions like Una, Spock, or even Ortegas. 6. She's becoming the emotional anchor, not the strategic leader. Lon's story arc increasingly positions her as the heart of the crew, not the head. She offers mentorship to younger officers, shares personal moments with those who need it, and serves as a reminder of the emotional cost of exploration. That's not nothing. In fact, it's quite powerful. Characters like Dr. McCoy and Chief O'Brien were beloved not for climbing the ranks, but for grounding the more idealistic or ambitious crew members. Lon is slipping into that role. She's not being set up as a commanding presence in the mold of Pike or Kirk. She's becoming the one others look to for emotional strength. That has immense narrative value, but it's not usually a sign of a future captain. In Star Trek tradition, command comes with detachment, with hard decisions and strategic coldness. Lon feels too raw, too connected, too vulnerable. 7. She might not even want it anymore. Perhaps the biggest sign that Lon Noonien Singh won't be a Starfleet captain isn't external, it's internal. There's a growing sense that she doesn't want it. While earlier episodes showed her trying to,